Imagine a world where reaching someone miles away meant sending a letter, hoping it would arrive in days, maybe weeks. A world where urgent news relied on the speed of a horse or the clarity of a telegraph line, a system of clicks and pauses, elegant but ultimately distant. Now picture the sheer audacity of trying to capture the very essence of human speech, to pluck it from the air and send it instantaneously across vast distances. This wasn't magic, though it must have felt like it at the time. This was the dawn of the telephone, and the first words uttered through this revolutionary device were not a grand pronouncement, not a carefully crafted message for posterity, but a simple, almost mundane request, tinged with a hint of urgency. "Mr. Watson, come here!" Those unplanned words would go on to become the very first words ever spoken on a telephone. But before those iconic words echoed through the wires, a storm of innovation was brewing. Our story centers around two individuals, both intensely focused on solving the puzzle of transmitting voice electronically. On one side, we have Alexander Graham Bell, a Scotsman with a passion for acoustics and a deep understanding of the human voice, largely fueled by his work with the deaf. On the other, Elisha Gray, an American electrical engineer with a knack for invention and a long list of patents to his name. Their paths, though separate, were converging on the same groundbreaking idea, creating a tension thicker than a Victorian-era fog. Bell, driven by a desire to help the deaf hear, was experimenting with harmonic telegraphy, the idea of sending multiple telegraph messages simultaneously over a single wire by using different musical pitches. It was a complex and ambitious undertaking, but within this pursuit lay the seeds of something far more revolutionary. Gray, meanwhile, was independently exploring the transmission of sound using electrical vibrations. Both men were tantalizingly close, each holding pieces of the puzzle, unaware of just how neck and neck their race truly was. The atmosphere in their respective laboratories must have been electric, a constant hum of experimentation, the crackle of early electrical devices, and the frantic scribbling of notes. Imagine the late nights, fueled by lukewarm coffee and the burning desire to be the first to crack this technological enigma. It was a high-stakes intellectual duel, played out in workshops filled with wires, batteries, and the faint smell of ozone. Then comes the pivotal moment, the day that would forever be etched in the annals of invention history. March 10, 1876. In a small laboratory in Boston, Alexander Graham Bell was conducting an experiment. Accounts vary slightly, as they often do with such momentous occasions, but the generally accepted narrative involves an accidental spill of battery acid. In a moment of sudden, perhaps slightly panicked urgency, Bell spoke into his experimental transmitter. Now, consider the sheer improbability of this. Here was a device, cobbled together from wires, magnets, and membranes, designed to capture the nuances of human speech and transmit them across a distance. Had it ever truly worked before in this complete form? Doubtful. The technology was in its infancy, the science still being understood. The chances of this particular experiment yielding a meaningful result, let alone a perfectly understandable sentence, were likely slim. But then, something extraordinary happened. In the next room, Thomas A. Watson, Bell's assistant, was at the receiving end of the line. And through the crackling static, amidst the faint hum of the nascent electrical signal, he heard it. Not a series of beeps, not a coded message, but actual words, spoken with a clarity that must have been utterly astonishing. "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you." Think about that for a moment. For the first time in human history, a voice had traveled, not through the air, not through a messenger, but through a wire, carrying the distinct cadence and tone of the speaker. It was a moment that fundamentally altered the possibilities of human connection, a technological leap that would shrink the world in ways no one could have fully comprehended at the time. But the story doesn't end there. The race to the telephone wasn't just about the invention itself, it was also about claiming that invention. Just hours after Bell's successful transmission, Elisha Gray filed a caveat, a preliminary step towards a patent, for a similar device. The ensuing legal battle was long, complex, and fiercely contested. Who had truly conceived of the telephone first? The courts ultimately sided with Bell, granting him the crucial patent. But the controversy surrounding the invention and the contributions of both men continues to this day, a testament to the often messy and complicated nature of scientific discovery. Imagine the tension in the courtroom, the weight of the future resting on the judge's decision. Fortunes would be made, legacies cemented, all based on who could prove their claim to this groundbreaking technology. It was a drama worthy of a Victorian novel, filled with brilliant minds, competing ambitions, and the potential for immense wealth and recognition. The impact of the telephone was immediate and profound. Initially, it was seen primarily as a business tool, allowing for faster communication between different parts of a company. But its potential for personal connection quickly became apparent. Imagine the joy of being able to speak directly to a loved one miles away, hearing their voice in real time, bridging the distances that once felt insurmountable. Of course, early telephones were a far cry from the sleek devices we carry in our pockets today. They were bulky, often unreliable, and required a dedicated network of wires and switchboard operators. Mostly young women with exceptional memories and the ability to connect calls with remarkable speed became crucial intermediaries in this new era of communication. Picture them sitting at massive switchboards, a tangled web of wires before them, expertly routing calls with a cheerful, "Number, please?" The adoption of the telephone wasn't instantaneous. Some were skeptical, viewing it as a frivolous gadget. Others worried about its potential impact on social interaction. But slowly, surely, the convenience and power of being able to communicate instantly won people over. The world began to shrink, businesses became more efficient, and personal relationships could be maintained across greater distances. From those early, clunky contraptions, the telephone has undergone a remarkable evolution. From rotary dials to push buttons, from landlines to mobile phones, and now to the universal smartphones that are essentially pocket-sized supercomputers, the journey has been one of constant innovation. But at the heart of it all lies that same fundamental principle, the ability to transmit the human voice across distances. The legacy of that simple request, "Mr. Watson, come here," extends far beyond the device itself. It represents a pivotal moment in human history, the dawn of instantaneous voice communication. It laid the groundwork for the interconnected world we live in today, where conversations can happen across continents in the blink of an eye. It reminds us of the power of human ingenuity, the relentless pursuit of connection, and the often dramatic stories behind the technologies we now take for granted. The next time you pick up your phone, remember those first hesitant words, spoken in a small laboratory in Boston, that forever changed the way we communicate with each other.